Hey, what do you know? It's my 13th video, and that can only mean it's time to cover 13 ghosts. What, you were expecting Friday the 13th? Released in 2001, 13 Ghosts was the second film produced by Dark Castle Entertainment. The company, founded back in 1999, originally intended to craft modern remakes of classic William Castle horror films. In a way, they were sort of half-heartedly crafting a shared horror cinematic universe before Marvel made that all the rage. Anyway, beyond that one prop element that we'll get to in a bit, there aren't a whole lot of similarities between this version of 13 Ghosts and the one Castle gave us back in 1960. And now that we've gotten the history lesson out of the way, let's get to the plot breakdown. The film opens in this creepy looking junkyard with some spooky sounding title cards. Ah yes, the early 2000s, when movies thought it was cool to substitute numbers in the title for letters. These guys just bust into the junkyard and set up an elaborate sound system, which makes this potentially the weirdest rave ever. Next thing you know, F. Murray Abraham shows up in his Model T looking like he was an extra on Penny Dreadful. I don't have a good feeling about any of this. Abraham isn't alone. He's got Matthew Lillard with him. Lillard's already chewing the scenery and it's his first goddamn line.
Oh, bad. That's one way to describe it. Insane seems a little more appropriate.
Way to go, Shaggy. Lillard wants to pop a few pills and get this party started right, but F. Murray Abraham is a real straight edge. Remember, kids, just say no to drugs.
We just need to take the edge off.
You know the routine. I need you clear-headed.
Okay, quick public service announcement. The next sequence has a lot of flashing lights and hyper edits. If you're epileptic, you're going to want to scroll ahead. Trust me. I'm not sure who thought this editing style was a good idea, but Michael Bay just called me to complain there are too many cuts. So, basically, Lillard's a psychic who gets visions based on touching people or things. Or at least when it's convenient to the plot. 13 Ghosts was directed by Steve Beck. Dude totally looks more like a homicide cop you'd see on a Forensic Files rerun than a Hollywood filmmaker, right? Beck is a pretty middle-of-the-road director. I've seen way worse, but he's only helmed 2 features to date, 13 Ghosts and Ghost Ship. I'm sensing a theme here. Next thing you know, a couple of ghost rights advocates show up talking about how catching spirits is akin to slavery. Yeah, sure.
Maybe you should join Greenpeace. Throw blood on old women's furs.
I'm with Matthew Lillard on this one. Don't look now, but it's time for some exposition. Here we learn about a book, quicksilver flares, and the need for a 13th ghost for something. Most of this will be important later. Much later. Because 13 Ghosts is fantastic at squandering all the really interesting elements of its story in favor of following people running through hallways. With the exposition out of the way, we can get back to the action. Abraham isn't donning those safety glasses to stay in obeyance with OSHA regulations. It's a nod back to the original 13 Ghosts, one of William Castle's many gimmicky horror films. In that feature, patrons were given 3D glasses that would allow them to see ghosts on screen at various points of the film. They serve the same purpose here, only for the characters and not the audience. Things don't go according to plan with this ghost capture, and Cyrus winds up dead. His death scene always makes me think of the opening murder in Suspiria. I know we spent a lot of time on this opening sequence, but it's because it's one of the most interesting parts of 13 Ghosts. This is a film that wastes potential regularly. Sections like this highlight that there was a much more interesting story that could have been told. With the ghost captured, at the cost of a lot of life, the movie takes us straight into a flashback/opening credits sequence. I'll give them credit. This is a better way to do exposition than the info dump scenes 13 Ghosts uses at several points further along in the story. Okay, let's see who we've got here. Matthew Lillard, Shannon Elizabeth. What? Are Skeet Ulrich and Jamie Kennedy too busy hosting the grand opening of a Ford dealership in Poughkeepsie to appear in this film? And introducing Rah Digga, who's about to go the Busta Rhymes and Halloween Resurrection route, only with less kung fu. The guys at K&B provided the film's special effects, so at least we know we're in good hands here. For all of 13 Ghosts issues, of which there are many, the film's special effects and visual look are pretty fantastic. Aw, look, it's the first podcaster. This kid grew up to start Serial. This is the obligatory meeting the family scene. We've got the precocious kid, the loving daughter played by Shannon Elizabeth, and the stressed out, doing his best dad, Tony Shalhoub. And in typical movie make-believe, the family is past due on everything, but somehow affords to pay Rah Digga to be their live-in nanny. Don't fret though, there's a lawyer at the door. That's gotta mean those financial troubles are about to end, right? The lawyer represents dear old dead Uncle Cyrus, and he's here to give us some exposition. From beyond the grave. Let me just bring up this video on Winamp, but first I gotta close some of these Netscape Navigator windows. Do you people even remember Netscape Navigator? Leave me a comment if you're old. Notice the stop button is pressed even though he's talking? And with that, the crew heads out to see their new house.
Looks like things are starting to get better, right?
Well, yeah, if by better you mean moving into a house filled with murderous ghosts, then sure, everything's going great. Yeah, sorry, we're gonna have to pass on this house. We're looking for something with a more open concept. We'd really prefer something in a more mid-century modern with incantations written in ancient Sumerian as opposed to Latin. Who's gonna clean all these windows? Can you imagine what the Windex bill in this place is? Matthew Lillard is lurking around the house, and he's even less believable as an electric company employee than a psychic.
I'm the power guy?
Eventually, we get inside, and basically this is a house designed by Rube Goldberg and MC Escher with interior design courtesy of Aleister Crowley.
Family, just so we all clear, Miss Maggie does not do windows.
Yeah, sorry Miss Maggie, I already beat you to the window joke. Matthew Lillard says pretty much what we're all thinking.
Oh, Cyrus, you crazy son of a bitch, what did you do?
Naturally, everyone splits up and goes exploring. Oh look, it's Chekhov's rifle. Just one more narrative element that never pays off. Arthur and the lawyer are in the library, which sounds like Clue, to talk about taxes. Yeah, I'm just a math teacher, and those monk residuals are a couple of years away. I mean, I'm living off Wings reruns here, and there's no way I can afford this shit on those. Meanwhile, Matthew Lillard is inspecting the basement like some kind of half-assed home inspector. Sorry guys, but you seem to have a ghost infestation down here. I'd make the sellers fix that before closing. All these cool ghosts are the real star of this movie, which makes it unfortunate that they're not given more screen time, and all their backstory is hidden on the internet and in bonus features on the disc. Why build all of this mythology and not use any of it? After that, Matthew Lillard drops the electrician facade.
What is the deal with the breakers?
There's nothing wrong with the breakers. I'm not the power guy.
What? You're not really a power guy? Get out. He then explains that he's a ghost hunter.
I used to hunt ghosts with your Uncle Cyrus.
Goats?
Ghosts! Ghosts, goddammit, listen to me!
Matthew Lillard, master of the restrained performance. After some more overacting, Lillard has a psychic fit. Or maybe he just watched that earlier scene with the hyper edits and the flashing lights. I'm not a doctor. While all of this is going on, the lawyer slips off and shocker, he's not a good guy. He taunts the ghosts on his way down to pick up a satchel of money. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that's a bad idea. Taking the bag sets the clockwork house into motion, basically trapping everyone inside and freeing the ghosts in the basement one by one. At least there's some justice in the world as the lawyer gets split in half.
Did the lawyer split?
Hey, I'll be making all the stupid puns and jokes here, movie. And now we're going to jump ahead a bit, because the middle act of 13 Ghosts just basically has everyone running through the house as more and more ghosts are released. This would be a lot more interesting if the ghosts actually did anything or killed anyone, but that's not really how it plays out. Trust me, you're not missing much. Thank God Matthew Lillard is here to explain all the crap you already figured out.
The entire basement is filled with ghosts.
I don't know if I have a clause in my homeowner's insurance that covers that. Floods, yes. Ghosts, no. Look, we all give Matthew Lillard a lot of shit, but he's fun to watch. He's clearly more engaged in this film than Tony Shalhoub is. Everyone splits up again, because that's always the best idea when you're in a house infested with murderous wraiths. Matthew Lillard was in Scream, for crying out loud. He knows the rules about this stuff already.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back!
After more ghost shenanigans, the ghost rights activist shows up. Where has she been hiding? This is a house made of glass. You can literally see through it from one side to the other.
What are you doing here?
Well, mostly just providing exposition and padding the potential body count for this movie.
Let me show you. This is the Arcanum. Many people died in the quest for this book. It was written in the 15th century by an astrologer named Basilius.
What, you didn't believe me? After more running through glass hallways of the basement, we get more exposition. This movie loves exposition.
You didn't tell him, did you?
Oh, God, what? Tell me what now?
About the fourth ghost.
The fourth ghost is the wife. She has an IV, which is the Roman numeral for 4, which is actually kind of clever. More clever than most of the stuff in this movie so far. Oh good, more exposition. We're just dumping it all out here.
See these? They represent the Black Zodiac. They represent the ghost that Cyrus needed to catch.
The Black Zodiac? That sounds like a D'Angelo album.
Powering it up for what?
To open the Ocularis Infernum.
Ah yes, the Ocularis Infernum. Of course. Look, the Eye of Hell is cool, and all these ghosts are awesome, and this is what I mean. We've spent 45 minutes on boring bullshit in this movie with people running around in circles, and they had all this cool mythology they could have focused on instead. It's such a frustrating missed opportunity. After his Dark Night of the Soul moment, Arthur heads off with Matthew Lillard to find his kids. I'm sure carrying this huge piece of glass won't be a burden at all. Meanwhile, Rah Digga and Ghost Rights Lady head off too. Someone call M. Night Shyamalan because we've got a plot twist. Ghost Rights Lady and F. Murray Abraham are actually working together, and F. Murray Abraham isn't really dead. That she's working for Abraham is actually foreshadowed earlier in the film when she leaves her apartment. She takes the tapes labeled drawing spells, not containment spells. Back in the basement, things are getting even worse because now the Juggernaut is loose. He kills Matthew Lillard, thus eliminating our only likable character. With everything now in place, F. Murray Abraham kills the ghost rights activist. Did anyone not see this coming? Look, I told you, she was only here for plot exposition and to pad the kill count. F. Murray Abraham then kicks the ritual into high gear. He spent all this money on this house and he only has a reel-to-reel sound system? Come on, man. At least get one of those sound bars or a cheap Bose setup down at Best Buy. Whoops, Tony Shalhoub just realized that Cyrus is still alive and not a ghost. Chuck Norris versus Bruce Lee. Donnie Yen versus Wu Jing. Tony Shalhoub versus F. Murray Abraham. One of these things is not like the others. But at least there's still time for a Scooby-Doo Bond villain moment where Abraham takes the time to reveal his master plan. DJ Rah Digga on the wheels of tape. And with that, Tony Shalhoub makes a leap of faith and brings the house down. This seems like a good time to point out that I think the 13th ghost was really the friends we made along the way. Oh, look, all those murderous ghosts are free to go back out into the world and kill people. Well played, movie. Wait a minute, how the hell did Rah Digga live? She should be dead.
I am sick of this nanny shit. I've had it. This was not in the job description. I quit!
Oh, Rah Digga, you so crazy. Cue credits, complete with a Rah Digga rap song that has absolutely nothing to do with the movie. If it wasn't clear from the plot breakdown, the biggest problem with 13 Ghosts is that it's a film that regularly squanders everything that could have made it great. The ghosts and their elaborate backstories, the rich mythology, it's all an afterthought for a movie more interested in showing people running through the same glass corridors over and over than actually being scary or interesting. This is a tragedy because 13 Ghosts looks like a big fancy Hollywood film. But like many Hollywood genre offerings of this period, it's more interested in the shiny veneer than the story. 13 Ghosts is the cinematic equivalent of a haunted house carnival attraction. Silly, mildly amusing, and ultimately forgettable. Strange that a film about capturing souls turns out to be so soulless. What did you think of 13 Ghosts? Hit the comments section and share your thoughts with me below. And while you're down there, why not like this video and subscribe to the channel? Fear of missing out is a real thing, but by subscribing, you'll always know when I post new stuff. And why not check out another video while you're here too? If you like 90s horror that's actually awesome, check out my Demon Knight and Shock 'em Dead reviews. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't leave me hanging. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka The Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.